Hey, I'm Emma Garlett, and on today's episode of Paint It Blak, I sit down with the Minister for Indigenous Australians, Linda Burney. She was in town to speak with Ember Connect, an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander-led collective that elevates Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women to greater possibilities. In my chat with Linda, we talk about all things The Voice and what impact it will have on First Nations people. Join me as I paint it black.
As Minister for Indigenous Australians, what are your key priorities for addressing the challenges faced by our women today?
Well, the key priority is I'm working with Minister Amanda Rishworth on the standalone action plan for Aboriginal women and domestic violence. But the other thing that I'm really keen to do, or in the process of doing, is reforming the CDP program, because that's really where young women and older women can do some amazing things, and also investing in Indigenous Rangers programs as well. I've met some women that are Rangers and they are remarkable. I think what's been missing out of a lot of programs is the issue of cultural knowledge. And, we're doing a lot of work in Alice Springs at the moment because there's lots of social issues. But to me, when I look at places like Alice, a lot of the kids have lost contact with culture and they're acting out, or culture's broken down because of the Northern Territory intervention. You can actually see it. And I think having culture at the base of all programs is really important. So a sense of belonging, but also a sense of responsibility and reciprocity. I mean, they're big words, but it just means that you're giving back and you realise that you've got a responsibility. And one of the interesting issues, and I'm sure it's here in WA in parts as well, where young men are still initiated. They're 13 or 14, and for an initiated young man to go back into the school system is really difficult.
Yeah.
So these are some of the complexities that we face, and people don't understand it.
I agree with the Minister that many young Indigenous people who are causing social disturbances have lost contact with culture. So instead of having an increased police presence in regional and remote communities, we need to have youth diversion programs co-designed and run by the community with a focus on connecting with culture. That is the solution. If Aboriginal people design and run their own programs, then children will engage with them. The mistrust disappears and policing gets reduced, reducing taxpayer dollars over the long term. There will be a sense of belonging and, as the Minister puts it, a sense of responsibility and reciprocity.
What does the voice to Parliament mean for Aboriginal women?
Well, there are, I think, 8 principles underpinning the design of the voice, and one of them is gender parity. So there'll be an equal number of men and women on the voice, and I don't think that's happened before. And that, to me, is absolutely fundamental, so that women have an equal say in policies and programs that affect them, their family and their communities. The other thing, of course, is that there is a lot of development of policy and legislation that really affects Aboriginal women, and the voice will be at the table with half the members being women having a say.
How do you think we will look internationally if the voice to Parliament referendum doesn't pass?
Well, there's been some commentary on that, and I think that's a really good point. In my view, Australia will look terrible in the eyes of the world if the people of this country can't recognise the original owners. It will send a message to the world that we are a regressive country that cannot face its truth.
The Minister also spoke about how the Voice to Parliament will make a practical difference.
On issues that have just been persistently impossible to move the dial on, things like life expectancy, things like employment programs, things like cultural heritage programs, those are the issues that it will be dealing with. So it will make a practical difference.
Yeah.
Because if we just continue to do what we've been doing, those problems, those issues will just stay there. And the second is something that I just think we should be so proud of. We've got 65,000 years of story in this country, and it's not recognised in the Constitution. We're one of the only first world nations with a colonial history where the original owners of this country are not recognised. And that's just, to me, not just our story, but it's the story of this country. It's the story that everyone should be so proud of. And they're the two main reasons.
As we get closer to a vote on The Voice, we're going to hear more and more opinions from every side. That's why it's so important to listen and learn from the people that will be directly impacted by a voice, First Nations people. Next week, I'll continue my chat with Linda as she shares a deeply personal story with me.
Meeting my dad and finding out I had 10 brothers and sisters was just remarkable, and it's a day I'll never forget.
Tune in next week to hear the full story. Thanks for watching Paint It Black with me, Emma Garlett. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.